July 15, 2026 represents the convergence of three documented pressure points: the start of peak Atlantic hurricane season, the USDA midsummer crop report that triggers commodity price moves, and the implementation of tariff measures already scheduled for July. These 14 grocery items have documented supply or price vulnerabilities that get worse, not better. After that window, the food storage community is buying now, while prices and availability still favor the buyer. Number 1, coffee, specifically whole bean Arabica, has become the fastest-moving commodity in prepper circles for a reason. Brazil's multi-year drought, stretching from 2024 into 2026, slashed Arabica yields by up to 16% in the worst-hit regions, according to CONAB and the International Coffee Organization. That supply shock triggered a December 2024 spike on ICE futures, pushing prices to a 47-year high of $4.41 per pound. With USDA's July 2026 outlook still warning of continued production decline, bulk buyers are locking in 25 to 50-pound bags now, before the next round of price volatility. Properly stored, whole bean, sealed in mylar with oxygen absorbers, kept cool and dark, Arabica can retain flavor and aroma for up to 5 years. In a climate of rapid market swings and dwindling global stockpiles, coffee's long shelf life and high volatility make it the benchmark for urgent pre-July purchases. In second place, extra virgin olive oil faces a supply shock that is hard to ignore. Spain, responsible for about 40% of the world's production, saw its 2023 harvest drop by half, according to the International Olive Council and Spain's Agriculture Ministry. With olive trees taking 5 to 7 years to recover from climate-driven losses, global supplies remain tight for multiple seasons. Import prices become especially sensitive in mid-July, when tariff changes and new harvest projections can trigger sudden spikes. For long-term storage, dark glass bottles kept below 65 degrees Fahrenheit can preserve quality for up to 2 years. Unlike dry staples, olive oil's shelf life is shorter, and its market is far more concentrated, making early bulk purchases before the next pricing wave a practical move for any serious pantry. Number 3 on our list, cocoa powder and baking chocolate face a supply crisis that few pantry staples can match. Ivory Coast and Ghana, responsible for about 70% of the world's cocoa, suffered catastrophic crop failures in 2024. The result was a historic price spike. Cocoa futures surged to nearly $12,000 per metric ton by December, according to ICCO and commodity market trackers. With West African output still in shortfall and global inventories drawn down, volatility is expected to persist well into 2026. For household resilience, shelf-stable cocoa powder offers a rare advantage. In airtight, moisture-free storage, it can last indefinitely, outliving most other dessert ingredients. As market bulletins warn of continued supply shocks and price swings, stocking cocoa now is a calculated move for anyone seeking to lock in quality and cost before the next round of global disruption. Number 4. Canned tomato products move to the center of the preparedness conversation as California's processing season opens in July. With the state's water quota hearings in early 2026 already signaling reduced irrigation allocations, growers are cutting back on acreage just as the harvest window begins. The California Department of Food and Agriculture confirms that July through September defines the peak for processing tomatoes, feeding directly into the national supply of diced, paste, and sauce. As drought trims yields and processors face tighter volumes, the risk is clear: fewer cans on shelves and higher prices by late summer. For households, canned tomato products offer an 18 to 24-month shelf life in a cool, dry pantry, making bulk purchases before the end of the harvest the smart move. This is a short to mid-term staple that could see sudden supply squeezes if drought conditions persist. Number 5. White rice stands at the crossroads of policy risk and long-term food security. India, which supplies around 40% of global rice exports, has maintained a non-basmati export ban since 2023. The Directorate General of Foreign Trade's ongoing restrictions have tightened global markets, just as the Food and Agriculture Organization and the International Grains Council report world reserves at a 15-year low. For serious storage, white rice sealed in mylar with oxygen absorbers can last 25 to 30 years. outpacing nearly every other calorie staple. As the export ban holds and reserve levels drop, bulk buyers are moving quickly to secure rice before further supply shocks or price surges take effect. Number 6. Cooking oils, vegetable, canola, and sunflower face a storm of supply chain risks heading into July 2026. The Black Sea conflict has sharply reduced Ukrainian sunflower oil exports, with the Food and Agriculture Organization and Ukrainian ministry data showing rerouted tankers and mounting insurance claims in the first half of the year. At the same time, the USDA's July yield reports for soybeans and canola can trigger price swings overnight, as domestic output becomes a global benchmark. Bulk buyers are turning to 5-gallon drums, aiming for an 18 to 24-month rotation, since oil stored cool and dark can maintain quality across 2 full years. With geopolitical flashpoints and domestic crop reports converging, securing a reliable stock of cooking oil now means sidestepping both shipping bottlenecks and sudden price hikes. Number 7. Wheat flour and pasta move into focus as the USDA's July reports finalize U.S. winter and spring wheat yields for the year. That data sets the global price floor just as war-driven export gaps in Eastern Europe keep international supplies tight. All-purpose flour, a pantry staple, holds quality for about 1 year when sealed and stored cool. Dry pasta stretches that window to 2 or even 3 years, and up to a decade if vacuum-sealed and kept oxygen-free. The difference in shelf life shapes storage strategy. Flour demands careful rotation, but pasta can anchor a longer-term reserve. As July's crop numbers lock in and market volatility looms, securing both flour and pasta before the next wave of price adjustments becomes a practical hedge for any serious household stockpile. Number 8. Salt, whether table, sea, or Himalayan, anchors the pantry as a mineral staple with virtually no expiration date. The International Oceanic Commission reports a notable drop in Mediterranean sea salt yields for 2025 and 2026, driven by reduced rainfall and higher evaporation losses. At the same time, Pakistan's Bureau of Statistics documents export slowdowns and bottlenecks at major Himalayan pink salt terminals, pushing bulk prices higher. Despite these pressures, a 50-pound bag from a restaurant supply distributor still costs under $40 and can be stored indefinitely in dry, sealed containers. Beyond seasoning, salt serves as a critical preservation tool for meats and vegetables, making it a low-cost, high-resilience addition to any long-term stockpile. As logistics and weather tighten global supplies, securing bulk salt now adds a layer of insurance that outlasts nearly every other pantry item. Number 9. Sugar, whether granulated, brown, or powdered, faces mounting pressure from both climate impacts and shifting industrial demand. The latest USDA WASDE forecasts point to yield reductions in Brazil, India, and Thailand, 3 countries that account for over half of global sugar production. But a less visible risk is the surge in Brazilian ethanol demand, now up 12% year-on-year, according to Unica. As more sugarcane is diverted to fuel rather than food, the supply of edible sugar tightens, raising the risk of price spikes as new tariffs take effect in mid-July. For household resilience, white granulated sugar stands out. If stored dry and airtight, it can last indefinitely, making it a strategic staple for both caloric needs and food preservation. With the food versus fuel dynamic accelerating and indefinite shelf life on the table, stocking bulk sugar before the next market squeeze is a practical move in any long-term storage plan. Number 10. Dried beans, pinto, black, navy, and kidney anchor long-term protein planning for a reason. The USDA July 2026 NASS reports flag moderate to severe drought across the upper Midwest, the nation's core bean belt, with North Dakota, Michigan, and Minnesota all facing yield uncertainty. NOAA's drought monitor maps reinforce the risk. Weather volatility in July can swing harvest outcomes and tighten supplies overnight. For resilience, beans offer more than calories. They deliver essential amino acids, especially when paired with white rice, creating a complete protein profile. Sealed in oxygen-free mylar, dried beans can store safely for 25 to 30 years, outlasting almost every other protein source in the pantry. As domestic weather risk rises and protein prices fluctuate, bulk purchases of dried beans now lock in both nutrition and shelf stability for decades. Number 11. Honey, especially raw and locally sourced, faces a double threat that reshapes its place in any serious pantry. Over the past 30 years, United States honey production has dropped by about 60%, a decline tied to colony collapse disorder and shrinking forage for bees. At the same time, recent lab tests by Consumer Reports and Eurofins found that nearly 70% of retail honey labeled as raw was actually adulterated with added sugars or syrups. Between 2020 and 2025, that means most supermarket jars can't be trusted for purity or medicinal use. Raw honey, when sourced directly from a certified local apiary, offers both a reliable sweetener and an antimicrobial asset, and it stores indefinitely at room temperature. For preppers, securing a 5 to 10 pound jar of verified local honey before the next round of shortages or price hikes is a practical move that sidesteps both supply risk and quality fraud. Number 12. Powdered milk, both non-fat, dry and whole, enters the spotlight as the dairy sector reels from H5N1 avian influenza spillover. Between 2024 and 2025, USDA, APHIS, and CDC reports confirmed outbreaks in U.S. dairy herds, directly reducing fluid milk output and tightening the supply of milk powders. The 2026 WASDE notes a corresponding uptick in non-fat dry milk prices, as processors scramble to fill gaps left by disease-driven production cuts. For preparedness, the storage advantage is clear. Non-fat dry milk sealed in airtight packaging can last up to 10 years, while whole milk powder remains stable for 2 to 5 years, depending on fat content. Bulk 25-pound bags, widely available through the LDS home storage network, offer the lowest per unit cost and a critical backup for nutrition and medical needs. With animal disease shocks now a documented supply risk, securing powdered milk before further disruptions or price hikes is a practical move for any long-term pantry. Number 13. Spices, especially whole pepper, cinnamon, cumin, and turmeric, step into the spotlight as both a morale booster and a supply chain risk. India, Vietnam, and Madagascar drive global production of these key spices. But the 2025 to 2026 El Niño and political unrest in Madagascar have already compressed the upcoming harvests. Cyclone data from Madagascar and FAO Stat trade reports point to volatile yields and unpredictable shipping routes, with 2026 cargoes rerouted through the Suez Canal, raising costs and delaying deliveries. Whole spices, when stored airtight, retain their flavor for up to 4 years, twice as long as ground versions, which fade after just 2 years. Restaurant supply distributors offer bulk whole spices at 30 to 40% less than retail grocery, making now the best window to secure both flavor and cost stability. In long-term storage, spices are more than seasoning. They help maintain variety, palatability, and morale when food options narrow. Multivitamins and vitamin C tablets form a critical barrier against micronutrient deficiency during prolonged emergencies. Clinical studies show that scurvy can develop in just 4 to 6 weeks without fresh produce, leading to weakened immunity, poor wound healing, and fatigue. Sealed multivitamin tablets, stored cool and dry, retain their labeled potency for 2 to 3 years past expiration, while vitamin C remains over 90% effective for up to 5 years, outlasting most food supplies. Although the FDA's 2025 shortage alerts did not formally include vitamin raw materials, industry analysts and pharmacists have highlighted growing risks from global supply bottlenecks and tariffs. With July 2026 seen as the last stable window before disruptions, large buyers are already stockpiling enough to cover a year or more of dietary gaps. In food storage planning, supplements might seem less urgent than calories, but their absence can trigger rapid health decline well before food runs out. Multivitamins and vitamin C are a clinically urgent, essential addition to any long-term emergency pantry. Across all 14 items, one pattern emerges. Every staple depends on fragile, time-sensitive systems, weather, geopolitics, and global trade. The real risk isn't scarcity tomorrow, but disruption on a documented timeline. Preparedness means acting before the window closes, not after. In supply chains, timing is everything.